Hello and welcome to I Am Well podcast. I'm your host Gemma, a nutritionist and a hormonal fasting coach, passionate about self-development through a holistic lens. But my biggest mission is to help empower women and get them to reconnect and trust their bodies again. So if you're a woman who just wants to better herself and live her best life, you're listening to the right podcast. So let's get to it. Welcome back to I Am Well podcast. Today I have Joe on as my guest. He is the owner of Diet Detox and specializes in women's health, especially around perimenopause and menopause. So I'm really excited to get stuck into today's topics. But first off, hi Joe and welcome. Thank you for coming on today. Before we get started, I just love asking a bit more about you, how you got started and what you do, because obviously my little explanation there was quite short in a nutshell, and I'm sure there's a lot more depth to it. So yeah, what is it that you do and you're most passionate about?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one, Gemma, thanks for having me on the show. Number two, now that people can hear me talking, they know that Joe's a male. And anybody watching the video, now you know that Joe is a young male. And so it's always this weird little conundrum of like, wait a minute, what is this guy doing inside of the menopause, the perimenopause, or just the women's midlife space at all? And so that's always the elephant in the room that I need to address right away. And just backing it up real quick, when I was 13 years old, I'm 31 right now. Growing up, my mom was my strongest, most consistent role model. And she saw that at 13, I was headed down the bad path, the wrong path of just hanging with the wrong kids, doing dumb shit, making poor choices, and also at the same time starting to get picked on and bullied. And so I wasn't a very happy kid. I was a very tall, skinny, awkward kid. And she saw all that. And so she offered this olive branch of like, hey, Joe, I'm going to the gym tonight. She was always into fitness. She's like, I'm going to the gym tonight. I would love it if you came. And that was the clear path to me. It was like, well, yeah, everybody at the gym, all the guys have muscles, they have confidence, they're probably not getting picked on. Yeah, I'm in, like, bring me, mom. And so, number one, it got me off the wrong path of making dumb choices that would have harmed my future, which is amazing. But number two, I started to gain really, really, really small amounts of size. But what I did gain was confidence. And I just wanted to give back to my mom and thank her for that. And so all the way through high school into college, I start taking these courses in anatomy, physiology, nutrition, kinesiology, because I'm pursuing a career in surgery. So I had to take those courses. At the same time, I continue to change my body. But at the same time, I'm in college, I'm 18. And so I start partying and drinking beer. And now I balloon 80 pounds or 85 pounds in like a year and a half. And I think you and I understand you can't gain muscle that fast. So it had to have been body fat. And now I've got this new problem of, instead of being underweight, I'm now overweight, and my confidence is back in the tubes. Like, I don't feel great about myself. So I kick the partying, I dial everything in for nutrition and training that I knew and learned in college. And people noticed, right? Because I grew up in a small town. People were like, well, Joe, you were super skinny, then you were overweight. Now you're in amazing shape. You're very confident. Can you teach me how to do this? So it's like, sure, I think I've got something here. I have enough people asking me. So I started running these online 8-week fat loss challenges, transparently thinking I wanted to help people like me, young men either lose body fat or gain muscle and just feel good about themselves. And I ended up getting a ton of signups, but I never looked at the names. And so then the very first day I open up Zoom and I'm about to do my first coaching call to all these young men and change their lives, except there was no young men on the call. It was all 40, 50, 60-year-old women that wanted to lose weight. And I was like, oh shit, how did I get this outcome? And eventually, like years later, it finally clicked. But it's just because I grew up with my mom and her friends, and like that was my circle. So I learned to communicate in a way that naturally resonated with them. And so I drew them in naturally. At the end of that first call, we were all laughing, we're all having fun. At the end of the first 8 weeks, everybody got massive results. And I was like, you know what? I don't really care if this is what I was not after. This is what I like. This is what I'm going to do. And it's been a roller coaster ever since, right? Because as a new coach, transparently, I was doing things wrong. I was putting people on crash diets, really low calorie deficits that just weren't safe, because I didn't know that much better. But as the evolution of my coaching developed, now I started to notice these patterns of like, yes, I can get great results in 8 weeks, but nobody seems to keep them. What gives? So then I adapt to like more personalized coaching, more customized programs. I start getting results that last forever. But
Mhm.
then I'm seeing, well, shoot, these ladies that are 40, 50, and 60, like they've been losing muscle mass since they were 30. And so now this is a new problem we need to fix. Hey, we need to get you in the gym. We need to get you lifting very similar to how a man lifts. I use quotations in there and get you gaining muscle because that's going to protect your body. And so it's just been the 7 year evolution of how do we coach? And that's kind of how Diet Detox was born because at this point, I hate diets, right? I'm very anti-diet, and the whole diet detox thought process is detoxifying your mind and body from the damage that past diets have done. Because let's face it, they do quite a bit of damage mentally and physically.
Mhm. I love that. I love that you, you always think you know what you want, and then it leads you down a different path. Like
Yeah.
you always thought, yeah, I'm just going to coach people like me, but it handed you a different card.
Yeah,
Um,
life said no to that one.
yeah. But look what you're doing now and how amazing it is that you're helping all these women. And I think it's so admirable that there is a male coaching in the women's health sector, especially around perimenopause and menopause. Because quite like you, like I watched my mum go through it a few years back now, and there wasn't as much information back then as there is now on it. And there's still even not enough now. And she, watching her go through the struggles of why can't I lose weight? Why am I gaining weight? What am I doing wrong? I'm literally doing the exact same diet this person's doing. And
Sure.
yeah, I just really resonate with your story. So, with your clients today, what do you feel like is the biggest thing they're struggling with at the moment?
So I think the biggest thing I see is again going back to the damage that diets have done, thinking that they need to continue following this cycle of eating less and moving more.
Hmm.
When in reality, we get the best results from our clients by telling them to do the exact opposite. It's like, hey, you're going to come in, we're going to track with just what you're eating right now. Chances are it's 1,200 calories or less, and we're going to bring you up to what your body needs, right? We're going to give your body what it's been asking for years, which is generally I don't know, 1,800 to 2,400 calories. And I know that any women listening right now maybe just fainted a little bit because that's unheard of. But don't knock it till you try it, number one. And
Mm.
then number two, we'll get a mix of people that are either very sedentary, and so we got to get them moving, or we'll get the lady that does Orange Theory 5 days a week and doesn't allow her body to rest enough. And so now she's just adding more and more and more stress to her body, and her body's just fighting back, simply trying to survive. So
Mm.
we've got to dial it back.
Yeah, that's a big one too. I feel like there's that rushing women syndrome, and you're just trying to do it all. And especially as a parent myself, like a mum of two kids, and then you want the quick results, right? You want the quick weight loss results. And it's like, well, how can I fit all this in when I've got two kids? I do find even my clients, they'll cut back and they'll eat tiny little snacks throughout the day because they're trying so hard to keep it down. So it's so interesting that you're like, no, raise your calories up. Um, if you are, say that's the type of person that they are so busy throughout their week and you're telling them, okay, no, let's bring the calories up. What about working out, like exercise? How can they fit in? Like, what's the best, what for them would be great to, how much do they exercise each week, you know?
Yeah, so it's a hard question to answer as like a general rule of thumb because everyone's going to be different.
Mm,
So what we do if we have a new client is we have this scoring system that we'll put them through. And it's
mm,
like, how much sleep do you get per night? How stressed are you in your day? How much food are you eating? How long have you been dieting? And based on that, we can kind of get a feel for how well recovered they are on a week by week basis. And based on that, we'll give them the appropriate amount of exercise. And the reason I'm hesitant to answer this for any listener is because we have to understand that exercise alone really isn't that wonderful for us because exercise is a stress and
mm,
it breaks us down, it makes our body worse. But the time that, or the thing that makes exercise amazing and good for us is when we pair that exercise with the appropriate amount of recovery. right? Because as we break our body down a little bit through exercise, when we recover, we build back just a little bit stronger than we were before. So exercise plus recovery equals amazing. Exercise plus more exercise equals you're going to dig yourself a deep hole that's hard to get out of. But for anybody that's like, Joe, just answer the damn question. I would say, let's say 2 to 4 days a week of strength training would be an incredible place to start.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that exercise is a stress though. And strength training, I think that a lot of women, when they find the time, well, what I found with a lot of my clients is they're going to, cardio instead, or they're running with the time that they have, and as we know, like that brings on a lot of stress as well. And if they're already so stressed, and then with that small amount of time that they've got, they're running, it's just so much for the body. Whereas like strength training, I do think it's quite important to build up on that muscle that you were talking about too. So with if you have a client in their 20s and 30s and they want to lose weight, how different is it for a woman that's in, say, late 40s to 50s going through perimenopause or menopause?
So the thing that I realize, and I think it's good to put out this disclaimer that like I'm not your hormone guy. I'm not a genius with hormones. And I think that 9 times out of 10, you can create massive results inside of perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause without having the massive hormone conversation. Now, are there exceptions? Yes, and there's plenty. But the one thing we need to realize is that as a woman at the age of 30, you started losing muscle mass every single year. At the age of 40, the muscle mass you're losing is leaving your body at a rate of 1% per year. At 50, that doubles, now it's 2%. And at 60, that doubles again, and now it's 4%. And so you have this compound interest working against you every year of your life past 30. And here's the other problem is like, as a woman in that age range, so many have been told since they were a kid that like, you can't be that big, don't lift heavy weights, you're supposed to be small. And so that's working against your muscle as well because you were afraid to get too big, right? When in reality, the whole reason this muscle conversation keeps coming back up with me is because muscle at rest and at work burns more calories than anything else in your body. And so it's so important to have an adequate amount of muscle because if we compare you, right, let's just say we compare 50-year-old Jane to Jane 30 years ago when she was 20, and now she has two completely different levels of muscle. And the level at 50 is much lower, meaning she is only able to eat a small amount of calories per day. And if she eats anything more than that, her weight goes up. So now that's where people get into this trouble of eating 1,200 calories, 1,100 calories, 1,000 calories a day and seeing weight loss resistance because one of the reasons at least is they have such little muscle.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. And with your clients as well, I do believe a lot of it's to do with mindset, and I know that you're very passionate about that as well. So, how do you incorporate this into your programs with your clients, working on strengthening that mindset? Because a lot of it is that's where it all begins, and as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a whole podcast that we could have on this, so I'll try and keep it pretty short. But I think that we don't realize how much our body plays into other dimensions of our life. And so I think, and somebody could make their own story of this, but I think there's 4 dimensions inside our life. We have our body, so how it looks, how it feels, how it functions, its level of health. We have our being, our relationship with ourselves. We have our connections, so our relationships with our partner, our kids, our friends, our family. We have our business, so our contribution back to this world. And if our body suffers, right? If we're overweight, we don't have energy, we don't sleep good at night, we're on tons of meds, and we go to the doctor every single month, you bet your butt that's going to affect your relationships with your partner, with your kids. It's going to affect your relationship with yourself. And so what I do is I tie a really deep purpose for all of our clients to why they want to create this outcome, right? Is it great to lose 30 pounds by summer and fit in that 2-piece bikini? Hell yes, it is. And I'll never knock anybody for that because I want them all to do it. But at the same time, I want to point out just how many other people are being affected by somebody not being at their peak health, right? Because so many times, again, women in this generation, in this demographic, have this thought of, well, if I take care of myself, I'm being selfish. And that means I'm not taking care of somebody else. And
Mhm.
so it's really important to me to point out that that's absolute baloney. Like,
Mm,
if you take care of yourself and become a better version of yourself, your son and daughter are going to realize those habits that you have, and now you're putting it on them. Now you're more confident. Now you have intimacy again in your relationship, and now you're happier. So is your partner. Like, all because you did something for yourself. So
mm,
that's huge. That's
mm.
practice number one. I have about 100 more. Just tell me how many you want.
No, just thank you for putting that out there because that's the thing. When we start off as this, especially if you do have kids as well, it's like, oh no, I can't, I don't have time for me. If I put me first, I'm putting my kids second. That's not what I signed up for. I'm a mum. And it's as you said, it's baloney. It's not true.
Yes.
It's so frustrating because it is deteriorating their health without them realizing. You can't, and it did for me. Like, I know for myself, like, that's how I thought when you become a mum, it's
Mhm.
first all your kids and then you second. And my health, my mindset, my body, everything deteriorated within that first year of my kid growing up. And
And then what happened for
it,
you? Like, did you come to this turning point or this realization?
yeah, when I was realizing it wasn't now just only affecting me, it was also affecting my husband. It was also
Mhm.
affecting my daughter. It was affecting all of us. And they saw how much, yeah, the depression, the anxiety, all of it got to me that I was like, I need to make a change here. And that was my turning point and why I got into a bit about my story. But yeah, it's just this pressure sometimes to be the perfect person, to be the perfect wife, the perfect husband, the perfect daughter, the perfect mother. That I think the coaching that we're doing and that you're doing, it's like teaching people, no, it's you need to look after yourself first. You need to put yourself first. Otherwise,
Mhm.
everything else around you will just crash. It'll crash and burn. So thank you for putting that out there. And when it comes to weight loss too, I just know for me, my story, like earlier on, weight loss, just even that word, that whole term, weight loss, is
Yeah.
just also like a trigger mindset thing for me. And I know for many other women out there, because it was always like you're never good enough. Like you need to lose weight
Mm.
because you don't look good enough. You're not going to fit in. You're not popular enough. Um, so do you find this with your clients when they're coming to you and they're saying, like, I just want to, as you said, I just want to fit into that bikini. I just want to, and then is that when you're saying, let's get into the deeper why though? Like, why don't you feel good enough?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I kind of have a different practice for that, but it sounds like you're saying like so many people just tie their self-worth to the shape or the size of their body.
Yeah.
When in reality, like, I can't speak for every listener here, but I think that all humans are pretty incredible and genuine. But I know my clients and I freaking love them.
Mm,
And I love them when they come to me and I love them when they leave. And it doesn't matter the shape of their body. Like, they're amazing humans. I know them so deeply and how much they care about everyone, how well they want to do. Like, I just want to shake them because they're worth so much, you know? But what I do is I do a practice called little U versus big U.
right.
And what I'll do is I'll share my screen with the client or anybody that's listening. So you guys could do this at home right now. And we'll draw a little box in the corner, like the bottom left corner. And little U is current you. So that's what you have right now, how you act, how you behave, the thoughts you have in your mind. And then there's big U, right? And so from there, we're like, all right, I want you to write down everything about you right now. And then I want you to write down, or I'll write it down for you, but what's the result that you want? And oftentimes you're like, well, I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to fit into this shirt, and I want to be able to go on a hike, and I want to be able to eat food at a restaurant with my husband on date night and not worry about it. Okay,
Mm,
great. And so now I ask them this question of like, because you have all these things, because your body is that, how are you going to be acting now? They're like, well, I'll be way more energetic and outgoing and I'll take more chances and I'll meet more people. And when I'm at dinner with my husband, I'll wave at all the people that I'm a little bit shy to see right now, but I know because we grew up in this town. I'm like, great. Well, I hate to break it to you, but guess what? If you want that outcome, you need to start doing all those things right now because guess what? You're not acting that way because you have those things. You're getting those things because you act that way. And so if you want those things, you better start acting that way now. And I help them step into a bigger, more evolved version of themselves
Mm.
early on. And because of that, my God, we can make the results come so much faster.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I love the little me and big me aspect. That's awesome. And so, like with clients that going still stuck on the mindset topic, what about those ones that are struggling with counting calories? Like, do you get your clients to count calories?
So I have two ways of doing things. Um, we have our one-on-one clients, and that's a big investment into yourself
Mm,
because we limit how many clients we can take. I only have two coaches. They are rock stars and they produce amazing results. And so that investment's big because we're going to invest back into you in a large way. For one-on-one coaching, temporarily, we do like to count calories and protein. We'll never do all the macros. And the reason I want to do that temporarily is to show people portion sizes, what food contains what, how much food their body needs, and how it feels at certain levels so that long term they can go off and succeed forever without ever doing it again. And
mm,
then at the same time, I have this 4 week challenge that I run back to back so people can join at any time. And there's no calorie counting. There's no MyFitnessPal. There's no tracking apps. There's no nothing. Uh, I build every single person a food and fitness program so that I can guarantee their results. Our
mm,
average weight loss is like 7 pounds across the 4 weeks. And I've wanted to simplify that for one reason, and it's going back to the mindset thing. I want to help evolve as many people as I can in those 4 weeks into the bigger version of themselves so
mm.
they can go off and get results on their own long term afterwards. And so in that way, there's no calorie counting. I guarantee results, and people generally find that they're eating more and losing weight, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, that's always surprising, isn't it?
It
Um,
used to be. It is for them, not for me.
no. And then you call it the diet detox method, and that is your business, the diet detox. And that's saying because of how many diets are out there, you're trying to limit that whole mindset of a diet aspect. So, can you explain exactly what the diet detox method is, if there is a certain method to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get ladies that simply can't lose weight right now. They'll come to us eating, and I'm not exaggerating here. They've come to us eating as low as 650 calories a day
Oh,
and
wow.
tracking it, and like it's accurate. They're not lying to me. There's no BS, and they
Oh,
can't lose weight. Um, and their body's just terrified. Like their
oh,
body is so afraid that it's not going to get its next meal that it's holding on to every single calorie it gets
mm,
rather than expending it and burning it. And so that's where the diet detox method was born, is showing these people's bodies that they're safe, that it is going to get more food. And we slowly, it's a reverse diet if anybody's super good at nutrition, but slowly we bring their calories back up to a level that their body needs. So again, that 18 to 2400 range is generally what we see. And what we see is weight loss might not happen right away. And I'm very transparent about that because I don't ever want to give people the wrong idea of like, hey, if you come to me and you need a true diet detox, I'm going to help you rapidly lose weight. No, that's not it. What I am going to do is give you the ability to lose weight again and teach you to do it for the rest of your life so it's the last time you ever do it. But in the meantime, while you may not be losing weight immediately, you're gaining quality of life, right? You're watching your body shape change because you're letting go of inflammation, you're gaining muscle, you're gaining energy, you're sleeping better, you're in a better mood, you focus better, you're more patient with your kids and your husband. And so those are the wins that we see immediately. And really what we do to answer your question is we take somebody's average calorie intake across 7 days or 14 days and we'll increase it immediately by 20%. And so let's just say somebody's eating 1,000 calories a day. We'll increase it by 20%. That's 200 calories. So for the next 7 days, we go to 1,200. We see how their body responds. And depending on how long they've been really malnourishing their body, will increase gradually from 50 calories a week to 150 calories a week until we get them to where they are or where they need to be rather, and kind of take that stress out of their body, take them from surviving, move them into thriving, and then we can lose weight.
Mm. So tell us a few success stories with your clients, like what's worked and how long has it taken to get there, if you can find some.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
plenty. So like if this is video, people are gonna see me sigh because I'm thinking of what I want to pull out of this
yeah.
brain. Um,
Take your time. It's fine.
so we've got client Jay. She came to me a while back. And just like most other clients, the message I get is like, okay, I'm in, but I promise you I'm gonna be the hardest client yet. It's like, okay, well, bring it on, client Jay. And so she had never cooked a meal in her life.
Mm.
She'd also never stepped foot in a gym in her life. And so we had to teach her that you're capable of doing new things as a 40-year-old woman. I think she was like 43. And by the time she left, she was cooking meals for her and her son. She was in love with the gym. Like you couldn't get her out of there. Um, and she lost, I think she lost, don't quote me on this. I think it was 135 pounds. I know it was above 100. I think it was 135. And that happened in about a year and a half to 2 years.
Amazing.
So that was cool. She was single at the time and she was really self-conscious.
Yeah.
When we stopped talking, she was going on dates again. And I think she had actually found somebody that she liked and they were trying it out. So that was fun to see. Um, and then gosh, there's so many. I think another good one is we have a mail carrier right now. We're still working with her. So she delivers mail on her local route and super busy. We've worked with a couple mail carriers. Their schedule's crazy. It's hard to eat because they're in this little postal car all day and they can't really bring food and heat it up and stuff like that. And
Mm.
so she would bring, I don't know if you guys have this in Australia, but she would bring like dino nuggets. Do you know what those are?
Like, yeah, I think we do. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a chicken nugget in the shape of a
Shape of a
dinosaur.
dinosaur. Yeah. Yeah. No, we have
Like
those.
like my mom got it for me when I was 8.
Yeah.
But she would bring these dino nuggets to work and munch on them throughout the day. And when she got home, it was like probably Ritz crackers and cheese whiz for dinner. And so just poor eating habits, really poor eating habits. And she didn't know what she didn't know, but she
Mm.
didn't know how bad she was feeling. And
Mm.
so it's funny, I just made a post about her in my community yesterday. So I asked Coach Kate, our head coach, it's like, hey, actually she's client J too. Her first initials J. I was like, how much weight is client J down? She's like 50 pounds as of yesterday. I was like, well, damn. She's like, but check this out. And she sent me a screenshot of everything she had just listed. And she's like, more energy, better sleep, making it through her postal route faster so she gets home and has more time during the day. Like every single thing changed. And it's just by these small tweaks. Like, yes,
Mm.
she's still allowed to eat her cheese whiz and Ritz crackers on occasion if she wants, but like we found ways to adapt to her schedule and still give her healthy foods that are quick, easy, tasty. Just something she really never thought was possible.
Mm. And isn't that amazing? Like, it's not sometimes, it's not always, well, rarely, it's about the weight. It's about how you feel at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
that's what you said. Like, she feels different. She's happier. She's like more energy. That's what you want to see. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, you must love that. That must be incredible just seeing the change. And I love that you also saw the change in the first lady that you mentioned over a year and a half to 2 years. Like, it wasn't like, because right now you see, yeah, they're losing all this weight in 3 months. And it's like, okay, but then what happens after? What happens
Right.
next when they've stopped?
Yeah. I think my favorite thing, like if we look at a transformation picture, my favorite thing is, yes, the shape of the body looks different, but the posture, like the shoulders back, the chest up, the head up, the look in the eyes, the smile is so much different from start to finish. And it's like, that's what's going on inside, not out.
Mm. And that's way more important than the weight
Yeah.
that you've lost. And yeah, that makes it so much more worthwhile. And you want to coach that. You want to help with your clients to see that it's not all just about how you look. And that's what you were saying earlier, the self-worth, tying it and finding that, rediscovering that self-worth again, right?
Well, it was a hard evolution to make in coaching, right? Because like before I admitted that I was doing things the wrong way because of a lack of education,
Mm,
I didn't nail this mindset piece for a long time. And
mm,
so transparently, like I nailed the physical transformation long before I nailed the physical and mental transformation. So I would have these stories or check in on these people 6 months after working with them. And I'd be like, hey, how's it going with your weight loss? How's life? And then be like, well, I'm so confused because I lost the weight, but I don't look at myself different. I don't see myself different. I still don't really like myself. And so it's like, well, shit, we haven't nailed it yet because there's more to do. And
mm,
now, having experienced that, and now being able to experience the fact that people can change their body and their mind at the same time, that's
mm.
big.
Yeah. That's amazing that you've like seen that progression over the years. Because back in the day, I feel like it was all more like we do talk more about mindset nowadays. We do talk about more
Yeah,
like that aspect more. And with women's health, is a lot more on women's hormones and as we get older, even perimenopause and menopause, going back to that topic. I just know that there's still a bit of fear around it for women, like, oh, it's all doom and gloom once I get to that age. Like it's all downhill for me. As soon as I start feeling the symptoms, oh no, my life's over. But I know that there is with the work that you're doing too and all the information that's coming out, it's actually saying, no, your life's just getting started. Like that it gets better. Your mum must be like so proud of like what you do and how you like come up with all this. She's like,
I yeah. So all the ladies in her office are like, "Oh, Eva, I love Joe. Like I show up to his lives and he's so good." And so now I just hear that all the time.
yeah.
But going back to what you were saying just a second ago about the women in midlife that are like, no, your life is just starting. So, God, it was like close close to a year ago at this point. I hosted an online summit called the Midlife Makeover,
Mm,
and we had like 30 speakers. It was 5 days long. It was on nutrition, muscle, mindset, health, and menopause. And my favorite presentation was from a friend named Denise. I can't think of her Instagram for anybody to go look up, but oh, Fit After 50, if anybody cares to go look. She's incredible. But her presentation was called, I think it was like Your Second Act or something like that. And it was all about how the second half of your life can be
mm,
the best. Because at this point, you know yourself, you know what you like, the kids are out of the house, you're a little bit more financially free than you were in your 20s. And so, like, you get this second half that you get to recreate yourself and make this identity of what you want. And it was just really cool to hear.
yeah, that is, I love that. The second is the second act. It is. And I know even from my mum's experience too, like I know emotionally you don't have as much, like you're able to become more of a leader because the emotions aren't as heightened at that age. Like I feel like when we're young and like even for me, like having kids and stuff, you care a lot and you just like are always
Sure.
just like worried about them. When you hit that menopause, everyone's like, no, it's like, it's going to sound bad, but you tend to care less. But it's a good care. It's a good care less. It's a good because it makes you then start going, putting up boundaries and respect and doing, having more self-worth for yourself. And yeah, so I completely agree. So
I
with
love it.
diet detox and the business and everything that you're doing, what's the plan now? Where do you see yourself heading?
Yeah. So the plan, I'm keeping the team the exact same size. So we have myself, we have Coach Kate, she's our head coach, she's a registered dietitian,
Oh,
and then we
no.
have Carissa, and she is just behavior change specialist, amazing at programming for women's strength. And my God, they're the most amazing coaches anybody could have. So the team is going to stay that size. I do cap how many clients each of them can get because there comes a point where there's diminishing returns. Like they'll have too many clients, and so their attention to detail, their attention to each client will diminish, and that's not acceptable to
Mhm.
me. So we're going to cap how many clients we can have at 1-to-1. And then the goal is to really just help as many people as possible inside the 4 week challenges, right? Give them a food and fitness program so they can start losing weight fast, easy, reliably, and eat more food while they do it, and help them become the best version of themselves at the same time. And it's a hard thing to explain, but but we'll see so many ladies, like we just ended around. One lady sold her business. She was like 58. She just sold her business. She's moving to Tennessee, like her dream state. Another girl just quit her job and got a better job 10 minutes closer to home that pays $4 more an hour. She lost 6 pounds. The other lady lost 7. Like, I just want to help people become the best version of themselves they can be. And some of that's weight loss, some of that's in relationships, some of that's in contribution to the world. That's it.
Mm, that's an amazing mission to have. And do you do this online as well? Online program?
Yeah, yeah. So everything's online.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so if anybody's wondering, like if anybody hears, I wonder where I should start. Like, I wonder if I'm the person that can't lose weight and I need a diet detox, or I wonder if I should go straight to one-on-one coaching or the challenge or whatever. I have a quiz. And so we can probably put it in the show notes, but it's just quiz.hoyfit.com. And it's going to take you 2 minutes, going to tell you where your metabolism is and what the best program is for you. And that's it. So hopefully that's a great place to start. But if not, I think that for most people listening, if they know they're ready for change and anything I said resonated with you, I'd really encourage you to go for the challenge. It's 4 weeks long. It's $99. So in Australian, I think that's double. So like $200.
Mhm.
Low cost of entry. And I promise you, I change your life in one way. If not, message me after, tell me I'm wrong, and I'll give you your money back.
I love that. And from the results that you were saying, it sounds like you are getting doing incredible changes for these women. And I think it's really admirable what you do and how, as I said, it's funny how like your life changed and you ended up working with this sort of clientele, and it was meant to be because you're creating amazing changes. So I will put those links in the show notes below. So if anyone's interested, they can take the quiz. That'll be really interesting for them. And thank you so much for coming on, Joe. I love talking with you and everything that you're doing. I think it's incredible, as I said, and I'm sure your mom's very proud. Um,
Awesome.
but yeah, thank you for coming on. It's been great.
Thank you, Gemma. We'll have to get you on my show next.
Perfect. That'd be amazing. All right. Thank you for listening, everyone, and I'll talk to you all in the next episode. Bye, guys.